My recent replacement of my 3-inch lift springs on the back of my Jeep Cherokee 1996 XJ left it a little tall in the back. That's because I added some extra long shackles to make up for the lack of proper lift in my previous less than stellar lift kit. Now with the right springs on it, I get 3 inches without the shackles, so I'm going back to a regular length shackle. So I'm going to swap out these long ones for some short ones. Drop the back end back where it belongs. So let's get that started in the easiest possible way. Okay, with a little creativity, I've got it up high enough to dangle the wheels, the tires off the ground just barely, which will allow me to move the axle up and down as necessary to weight and unweight the shackles. Okay, to take this apart, I'm going to try to reduce the tension on the spring. You can see I've got my bumper jack or my floor jack under the axle, and the trick here is I'm going to lift it just enough to close the spring up, and that ought to just about take the tension off. I don't know if I'll get it perfect, but it's a Jeep. You don't require perfect. And I think I guessed pretty well on the tension. It's not entirely unweighted, but close enough. Could have raised it just about a ½ inch. Okay, that's free. Now I'm going to drop the axle out of the way and take the top bolt out. I greased it last time. Okay, shackle free. Okay, new parts. Got a stock length shackle with new bolts, new bushing, which I don't need, and now the trick is to place it and see if it's going to be easier to put the top one in first or the bottom one. Okay, it's roughly placed, and I can see that I'm really going to have access to the nut and to the bolt, although I don't think I'm going to be able to get my impact on it. I'll at least be able to turn it down with a ratchet, so that's all good. I think it's going to be easier to place, not having to fight any tension on the top bolt. It'd be easier to put the second lower bolt in last after I get the differential raised to the right level to line it all up. So let me get the top bolt in. And you'll notice the bolts have a little, they help you along by having this reduced diameter section on the end here to help make it easier to find the hole. A little bit of taper to help guide it in and square it up as you push the bolt in from the backside. Okay, I'm going to leave it just snug so I can, maybe even a little less tight than that, so I can move the shackle around to line it up after the fact. So now let me go put the other one on. Same process. Okay, I've raised the differential a bit to line up the leaf spring and the shackle. It might take a little bit of massaging, but a little dab of grease on the threads for the nut, just because I don't want to have to fight this thing in the future. And all right, I'm gonna have to start the nut. Okay, now I can get my wrench on the nut and my ratchet on the bolt and crank them down. Now I'm going to use a torque wrench to do the final snugging of both bolts. Alright, get on the top one, run it down. All right. And that's all there is to it. Now I just got to rinse and repeat on the other side. And this side's going to be a little more difficult. You can see that there's the leaf spring is just a bit too far forward to reach back to the shackle bolt hole to line it all up. So I believe what's causing that is the fact I'm lifting from the center. The other side is connected. This side isn't. It gives this just a little ability to twist out of the way. So I'm going to drop the differential and I'm going to lift it from the this axle side, and I think that will square it all back up. Okay, you can see it's still pretty much out of alignment. I'm going to lift it from there, and you can see the spring is coming back into position a lot closer anyway. It's still going to take a little fiddling to get it exactly right. Okay, and that's pretty close. A couple of notes. You'll notice I didn't put grease on the threads. These particular bolts do have some Loctite applied to them from the Moog factory, so I'm going to leave that in place. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it. It does make it a little more difficult to turn the wrench though, but not a big deal. Okay, the result, putting the standard length shackles back under the car instead of the lift shackles, puts the back of the car back where it belongs. You can see it's a balanced lift now, just a hair higher in the back off the tire to the fender well than the front, which is right where it ought to be. Even just moving it back into the driveway, I could feel the difference in the way the thing handles and turns and moves. It was really squirrely. This is a big improvement. with the new legitimate 3-inch lift springs and the short shackles, this should be better than ever.